Welcome to Theater Advice with OnStage blog, where we answer your questions on all things theater related. My name is Greg. I'm part of the editorial staff of OnStage blog and onstageblog.com. And joining me today, the founder of OnStage blog and a man who has been involved in theater productions for over 25 years. You've directed, you've worked front of house, backstage, and you currently work in the audition process for higher education theater programs. Chris Peterson. Chris, welcome. How are you?
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Ready to answer all the questions.
Good, good. Yeah. So we answer on this YouTube series, we answer reader questions and Reddit questions about all things theater. So please hit subscribe because we will produce these episodes every so often. If you have a question you would like us to answer on this YouTube channel, please email us theateradviceosb@gmail.com. That's theateradviceosb@gmail.com, the email that's flashing on the screen right now. So, Chris, let's get right to it. This is a Reddit question that we'll be tackling regarding how to break into community theater groups. This is a good one. So I'm going to show the question on screen. And I'm going to read it for you right now. So this question is from Reddit user BagelBites21. It's a long one. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to read enough to get the gist of it. Hi all. I've been finding it really difficult to get into community theaters within the Baltimore area. I've been taking voice lessons since 2020 and dance lessons since this spring. I've looked into acting workshops in the area, but there isn't really anything available for adults. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I've auditioned for 6 other shows in the area this year, and the one I am in now is the only one I got a call back for and got cast in. I feel like most of my auditions have at least had a good vocal performance, and I've been working to improve for dance calls, but I still keep coming up short. It's been really frustrating because I've been really trying to put in the work just to do this for fun, but all these auditions have 50 to 100 people trying out, and it seems like directors keep casting people they've already worked with or people with a bunch of credits to their name. Due to the number of people auditioning at a time, I can't get any feedback from directors about what I could do to improve either. Obviously, I would love a lead role, but for many of these, I'd be happy to be in a show with an active ensemble just to get in. Okay, so this is a question that's come up. Basically, the root of the question is someone who's new to the community, they love theater, they want to get in. However, as we know, directors play favorites. They cast people they know, they cast people they have good relationships with, often for the lead roles. Chris, you've been a community theater director. What advice do you give this person to break through? Again, we're not talking Broadway, we're not talking national tours, we're just talking a local community theater group. How do they break through? How do they break? What's the best ways to break through that wall of base? Well, I'm just gonna say trusted actors that the directors like to work with for a significant role.
Well, to start, this person's not doing anything wrong. Honestly, they're doing all the right things. They're going out for auditions. They keep auditioning. It looks like they are reaching out to try to get feedback. It looks like they're um, going for all different types of roles and things like that. So they're doing all the right things, which is important to know. The advice I would give this person is start thinking about maybe auditioning for different shows. So if you're going out constantly for maybe large musicals, for instance, like the Big Sound of Music or the big, In the Heights or whatever big musical there is, chances are you're probably gonna get a lot of competition for those roles. There's gonna be about 50 to 100 people showing up for those things. Why not try to maybe audition for some of those smaller shows? Maybe they're doing a play, maybe they're doing a small musical, maybe they're doing a musical review or something like that. But I would try to audition for things that are outside those big main stage musicals because it might give you a smaller uh, pool of talent that you're up against. Also might unlock different talents, different aspects of your performance abilities to the directors as well. And also, too, the other thing I would, recommend is, if you're not cast in some of these productions, volunteer at the theater. Volunteer to work running crew, volunteer to be an usher, volunteer to do anything to be a part of this. I'll tell this story. There's a theater in Stamford, Connecticut. I'll give them a shout out. Curtain Call, one of the best community theaters in all the state of Connecticut. And I was desperate to work with this group. I wanted to work with them so badly because their theater was beautiful, organized, great bunch of people. Auditioned a bunch of times, never got in until I started reaching out to help them out with their social media postings and saying, "Look, you guys have great content. What can I do to help with your social media presence?" Sure enough, they asked me to do a couple social media postings, and it worked out really well. That I actually got to do some publicity work for them. And then when I showed up to audition for one of their plays, I got cast and I got to work at that theater, and it was a great experience. So, like I said, it's one of those things where at community theater, sadly, there are no rules where you don't have, union representation protecting actors. You don't have other entities that are looking after people to make sure everything is like copacetic. However, you can use that to your advantage. And the more that you can get in front of these people, the more that you can show your versatility and your commitment, they're going to love you and want to cast you and everything. Even if it's not a lead role, they can say, look, Mary or Sue or Jim or Bob is a reliable human being. We need to have someone like that on our production. I'm going to cast them in whatever I can.
I noticed you didn't mention complaining about it on social media as a tactic, like calling out the director, saying that they're elitist, or calling them names. That's not a thing someone should do to get
I mean,
cast in
unless you're
community
moving
theater.
out of the state and you have no intention of ever working with those theaters again, like, yeah, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't do that. But I will say too, if you are witnessing like truly unethical behavior, in a lot of ways, where maybe bargains are made or under the table, deals to try to get roles, or dirty tricks and things like that, those should absolutely be called out. And there's ways to do that. But yeah, if you don't get cast in the show, or if you don't get the role that you want, blasting the show and theater and directors on social media would not be advisable.
You mentioned in a previous episode that as a director, if there was like a tie between two different actors or actresses, you would look at their social media following and see if one of them had a particularly big social media following. You would cast them because you knew they could sell tickets. They would advertise it. Is that something you would recommend someone mention or put it in print? When they hand in a resume, is that something you think they should mention as well?
100%. And there's ways to do it to make it not
Okay.
like obvious that like look at my Facebook followers and look at my Twitter followers. I mean, you could put links to those things
Right.
on your resume, and people will look at that. I mean, nowadays a lot of this stuff is submitted digitally, so you can submit your resume, and I can click on a link that will take me to your Instagram to see how many followers you have and things like that. So that's never a bad thing to put out there because yes, I mean, if I'm it's the equal, between two candidates, and one has 12,000 followers on Instagram and one has, 500, I might go with the 12,000.
Mhm. Would you recommend this person? I think a natural instinct when you get frustrated is really be insistent to the director, whether it's after the audition or through them, like reach out, when they reach out to them digitally through social media and saying, I think this person mentioned they're looking for feedback, but they don't get any. How pushy do you recommend someone be? Or as a director, does someone being pushy, does that work the opposite direction? Saying, well, if they're going to act like this here, how much of a hassle are they going to be in the cast? If they don't like the direction I'm giving them. Can you speak to that a little bit?
That's a tough roll of the dice. And the reason being is that there's a ways to certainly can phrase that email or phrase that question that it doesn't come off as pushy or, um, abrasive in any way, shape, or form. I've seen it happen both ways where I've gotten very polite emails saying, "Thank you so much for the opportunity. I just want, I want to get better as a performer. So what feedback can I get?" Things like that. And then you get the whole like, "Why didn't you cast me? Like, what? Tell me why." And those people, I'll be honest with you, the latter, I don't really want to engage with because whatever reason I have, they're probably not going to be open to hearing it on that end. And the other thing, the other roll of the dice, and I say this very carefully, is if you are someone that they were in no way, shape, or form considering, chances are they're probably not going to answer those emails. They're probably not going to answer those calls because they just don't know how to phrase that maybe politely in a way. And um,
Mm-hmm.
I think, as much as us directors like to stroke our egos and of course, give these lofty explanations of what someone needs to do to improve to get in our good graces. Um, More than not, we're not going to waste our time on people that we just don't think have the potential. So it's a really it's a tough roll of the dice.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we wish this person the best of luck. And I think ultimately, I think the big takeaway is, especially I heard from you and what makes sense, work backstage, work tech, show that you're a hard worker, show what you can do, just like in frankly any industry or company. Rarely do you start off at the very top. You kind of have to work your way up, show how loyal you are, how diligent you are, and how you can learn from what you're seeing on it, and just show your stuff through the tech positions and stuff. So we wish this person best of luck, and hope we'll see them in the lead in a Baltimore play sometime soon. All right, that wraps it up. So thank you, Chris. And once again, if you have a question you'd like us to answer, theateradviceosb@gmail.com. That's theateradviceosb@gmail.com. If you like this content, please hit subscribe. We appreciate all the follows and the watches you give us. And you can follow us for updates at OnStage Blog on Twitter, Threads, and Facebook and Instagram as well. And of course, onstageblog.com, we have tons and tons and tons of columns and editorials that go into all sorts of theater topics. So if you don't see a question that we've answered on this YouTube channel so far, just check out onstageblog.com and Google what you're looking for, and chances are we may have something for you. All right, Chris, thank you. And folks, we will see you next time.